Hey guys, Jordan Rouse here from Set to Close. I want to talk to you today about, the 3 rules that I have for inspiring entrepreneurs in the 21st century. This is more difficult than ever before because we're competing against AI, we're competing against some of the largest companies in the world, and they're kind of gobbling up the small companies that are there. And then banks don't give access to capital as easy. Financing's a lot tighter than it was. And that's because there's been a shift demographically. And as an entrepreneur, you have to understand the macro and the micro of what you're doing. So my first skill that you need is to understand markets, understand the identification of opportunity. So let's jump in to the macro side of it just a little bit. So in the last, let's say 15 years, there's been a huge change from the baby boomers being big consumers to the baby boomers retiring to fixed income. So what this has done is we've seen a 5-fold increase in the cost of capital in the last 18 months because it's just starting to time out where they're hitting that, 75 and above stride where they're not really making more moves, they're vacationing less, the consumption is less. So what does this leave us with? It leaves us with a bunch of millennials who are basically becoming the captains of the ship, and they're finally starting to do normal things. Normal things are like afford to buy houses and have families, even though it was delayed around 7 to 12 years, depending on the estimate and data that you're looking at. So what does this mean as a market, as an entrepreneur? Well, we have to remember that in society right now, people are living longer. They're living longer. That's how population of the world's increasing. It's not actually more babies. There are more babies being had in Africa, yes, but everywhere else around the world, it's no. So what does that mean? So it means that as an entrepreneur, we have to look towards the things that are going to service more elderly people. And at the same time, there's going to be a shortage of workers, meaning we're looking for more efficiencies in what we do. And there's an AI revolution going on, which is going to replace individuals within the roles they're doing currently, and they're going to have to be reskilled for different roles. This is presenting a lot of opportunity in the market. Obviously efficiencies, obviously reskilling, obviously healthcare needs and things that are going to make life easier for a more elderly population of the planet. This is why as an entrepreneur, to understand how do I serve the world, where is it going, is one of the greatest skill sets you can have. You can use that strategic mind and say, where do I place my company? What offerings do I have that can accentuate this macroeconomics point of view? I would encourage you as a business owner to be absorbing information. This is one of the most important things to direct our companies. Allow us to grow a culture of people that is going to be sustained because we understand what's coming, right? Skill number 2 is evidently micro. So what does that mean? How do you add value to what you're going to do? Now, most entrepreneurs, they get sold on an idea. And one of the things that I dread is telling companies, you're not a real company yet. And they go, well, what do you mean? Well, real companies make profit. There are a few anomalies to this. And the tech world's filled with them, but the tech world has a 99% failure rate and traditional business has a 95. So there is a big gap, 500% gap in between the two of those. So let's be real. In considering most businesses as an entrepreneur, I would incline you to look at businesses that actually make money, that can sustain things, that are profitable within a normal time horizon, because the unicorns that arise on the other side are what we call unicorns. Why do we call them that? It's because they're so hard to find. There are so few unicorns in the world and everyone thinks they're going to be the unicorn. Let me tell you, most likely are not. And I don't want to spoil your dreams, but I want to keep it in line with how do I actually provide something that's valuable for my community and valuable for the world. So this is a micro strategy. A micro strategy breaks down your value proposition to immediately what I call a go-to-market strategy. And go-to-market means how do I go to market to sell something? Literally an exchange, a transaction, cash in the pocket. That's what that means. Entrepreneurs skip this so often. I got this idea, I'm going to change the world. Great. What are you selling? What counts, what we're moving into, is Warren Buffett's good old school value-based investing, things are changing again, and we're looking at fundamentals. What do fundamentals mean? Do you make money? How much revenue do you have? How much a profit do you drive per employee? How scalable are you? What your processes look like? How are you going to engineer yourself in the market? How are you going to solidify your sales channels? These are real questions in today's micro environment. Too many people are skipping the steps because the bravado, pride, arrogance, whatever you want to call it, and they're entering businesses that don't make any bloody money. And if you're in that type of business, I would implore you to immediately jump towards how do I put cash in the pockets and stop burning other people's money. And I know everyone talks about OPM, other people's money, but our job as entrepreneurs is to help things grow and bring a return for our investors. And our investors put their energy, which is money, stored energy, into us in belief. And we must provide them that. That's our job, to bring alive this dream, but at the same time, to bring alive change, to bring alive opportunity. And the third that changes everything in today's world is being able to ride the wave. Now, skill 3, surfing. What does that mean? In my world, it means always staying up and learning what's coming. How do I do it? I follow the greatest voices in innovation that exist. Of course, ARC Fund, powered by Kathy Wood, absolutely amazing. She's usually ahead, and that costs her a lot of money, of everybody else. But if you send her out 2 years from where she is, she's telling you what needs to be heard. So I want you to look at who actually knows what they're talking about in the world of innovation. Of course, we're going to follow great leaders like Elon Musk, but then we have to surf the wave. What does that mean? How do we actively get our people, not just 1 or 2 in our organization, but the majority of our culture internally, riding that wave, spending time within that wave? Well, let me tell you how internally at Set to Close, we've done this. Now, this is some of our secret sauce internally, but I get it from great writers and I've read books. It's not like it's secret. It's just was in a book and I'm like, that's a great idea. We're going to surf that wave together. So how do we keep innovation super high and at the same time, the culture solidified and engaged within these innovative practices? So we use something called the 3 horizons. And I know for a lot of you that are avid readers, this is not innovative, but this is exactly what it is. So Horizon 1, 70% of our time is in client work, doing exactly what we know to do, 70%. Then the second horizon, that's Horizon 1. Horizon 2 is within 1 iteration of innovation on our product life cycle with who we're working with. So how do we innovate for this company that is our client? So that's how we look at it. We're looking at the innovation for our client or for our own company within 1 iteration. And it depends on your job role and title, if you're active in clients or if you're on the innovative product sales side. Who are we innovating for? But it's within 1 iteration. So not crazy innovations like adding some super new software, but how do we innovate within that software? How do we innovate within that ecosystem to provide something that's moving at a higher velocity? How is the best competitor doing it? Looking at market research and trends to move us forward. Again, macro, micro, especially investment in time and research. Now, this leads us to Horizon 3. Horizon 3 is what we call internally crazy ass shit. And this means the things that you ask the crazy questions and you're bringing things forward that push the limit. They're on the outside of that bell curve of innovation. And this crazy ass shit cycle creates crazy ass awesome results. And I want you guys to focus on that. If you want that amazing culture, how do you captivate it? Well, you unleash the power of these amazing people that you've hired. I'm not the brain trust in my company. I facilitate the brain trust. I've hired 15 creative, amazing, wonderful individuals that are aligned with our values, and we like to go fast. The ideas that are encapsulated in Horizon are simple. Know what you know to do it well. Now, always be continuously improving it. Number 2, how do I continuously improve the main part of what I do? In Horizon 3, how do I add the wildest stuff that's out there? Now, a lot of people put this all in their chief innovation officer, but what happens is when they try to disseminate new innovation, engagement lights go off. For the engagement light to be like, hallelujah, it comes on, you have to involve your people in the innovation. There has to be that cyclical curve that focuses on the people at the bottom to bring it up, not just a top down, apply this. Why? Grassroots grow strong roots. We know that people are the treasure of your company, nothing else. It goes people, systems, process. That's how we look at everything we do. Do you have the right people to change your company? Now, if you don't, I encourage you, reach out to us. We solve people, process, and systems issues all day, every day. But in this, I want you to make sure that you've went out and you've purchased that good old book, Good to Great. You have the right people on the seats, because it starts there. And then you go back to the old system process model by Peter Senge, right? That's it. It's old, the fifth discipline, the way of process thinking. I want you guys to think about that. Discipline and process, having the right people on the bus, and then unleashing your culture. Unleash it. And that's what we've been doing here. So my 3 tips to change the world of the 21st entrepreneur: know your macros, know your micros, surf the wave. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Shortly from set to close.